live. Hey out there, everybody. This is for those of you that are used to seeing me stream live, because I do it every week. This is a little bit of a different animal because I'm welcomed by two new friends, Amanda Slade and Dave Moravik, who are fellow authors with me, and we're part of a little Kindle. Should we just call it the Kindle flash sale? We're part of a flash sale together, hosted by Robbie Samuels. And it's always, we were talking about this before we came on, how fun it is to get to meet kind of other authors through these different things. And so it's fun to get together and kind of chat. And so tune in for the next little bit while we all talk about our books and what it's like to be authors. And Dave and Amanda, why don't you two have at it and tell everybody out there a little bit about your books, and then I'll bring up the rear.
Yeah, if we were doing this at Christmas time, we would have the Chris Kindle market.
I need to brand
that's my sense of humor, obviously. I'm originally from Chicago, and Echoes Across the Tracks came to me as a kind of a travel log experience. I had a bad travel experience, lots of them over the years, but I was just ruminating about it, and I started writing some notes. This is Thanksgiving of 2023. And 9 days later, I had a manuscript, 17 chapters. I mean, it really took 9 days to write Echoes Across the Tracks. And Charlie is the main character. He's heading to the airport in New Orleans, and his flight gets canceled. And what do all of us do? We rebook a flight, right? In this case, his cab driver, who has a story of his own, his name is Ora. Ora has a story from Uganda he's lived through, and he suggests that Charlie takes the train instead. And what it does is it starts a journey for 30 hours on the train where he can interact with all sorts of people getting on and off the train. And today we're not as present as we used to be. We're on our devices. We're busy with family, all that other stuff. And Charlie takes the time to interact with and get to know the people that are on the train, just like we're doing here. We get an opportunity to do that, or we choose not to. I had two travel experiences yesterday coming back from Denver. My first flight to Nashville, very interactive with the person who was sitting with us on the flight. She was engaged. She talked about we talked about our book, and I gave her a copy of the book. We smiled. I got to know each other about her travel experience. And then the second flight from Nashville to Cincinnati, the guy sitting next to me has his earbuds in, has his phone on, has his video, and it didn't want to interact at all. And that's fine. But was the first experience better than the second? Absolutely.
For you, it certainly was. So I am and Dave, you might be very similar, it seems, a super extrovert. And so it's very hard for me to sit next to someone who has is basically like non-existent, because it's like, hey, aren't you going to talk to me?
I want to knock on their earbuds and just say, hey, it was only an hour flight and not a big deal. He was obviously engrossed in the video, but the idea of Echoes Across the Tracks isn't a prescribed how to interact with people. It's storytelling, and it's intended for the audience who's on a flight or on a train and wants to engage along the way. So my hope is that people find it fun. It's not a typical business book, although the subtitle is Life Lessons Through Unexpected Connections. And Charlie's a business consultant, so there's some business stuff wrapped in.
You never know who you're going to meet. Amanda, tell us about 30 Day Soul's journey.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. So 30 Day Soul's journey, I actually wrote part of the book back in, I think it was 2012, 13. I've been in the personal development, spirituality, energetic healing field for over 25 years. And so this book actually took me on a journey itself. I thought, okay, I got pretty much most of it written. But when I sat down to really put the book together, because it was time to get it out in a book, I had it as a program. And so the 30 Day Soul's journey is about taking you on a journey with your soul. So, Dave was talking about connecting with other people, right? Which also connects you with yourself when you do that. But this journey is about connecting with you and connecting with you, the pure essence of you, your soul's essence, and finding out what really is your soul line path and purpose. And the journey takes you through 30 days. What I thought were going to be little quick meditations when I first wrote it back in 2012 ended up being these mini lessons. And it takes you through 4 phases: transformation, alignment, manifestation, and expansion. And you utilize the Diamond Co-Creative System, which is part of the book. And the Diamond Co-Creative System is an energetic healing and transformation modality, which has what we call Diamond Co-Creation codes within it. It's all based on sacred geometry. So it brings in science, and it also brings in the spiritual aspect of who we are and of life. So it combines that. So you pick a code a day, you read the little mini lesson, you do a meditation, you connect with yourself, and you see what bubbles up. And you do create an intention at the beginning of the 30-day soul's journey by using the universal manifestation template within the book. And what happens is so much happens, much more than what people think is going to happen. So they'll set an intention, and whether it's for life, for relationships, money, business, health, and then so much more comes forth than, again, what they thought was maybe going to happen for them. But it takes them on that journey so they get to what is the highest and fullest potential for themselves. So it's a fun thing to do. And it becomes a practical tool that you can use in everyday life.
It's interesting that, and I'll tell you about Scary Good here in a second. It'll fill in the hole that the 3 of us really do have some interesting like overlaps and commonalities in this idea of like, what's your potential and how that helps you kind of relate to others. And there's a certain sense of, I would say, practicality application here without necessarily like, I want to say rigid framework. That feels unfair to people who create frameworks because we all love frameworks, but there's a certain level of like discover, apply that all of us share, because that's Scary Good, Discovering Life Beyond the Sunday Scaries is similar. It is a little bit more of like what you can learn through someone else's story, more so than go do these kind of 12 things. And it's basically my journey into what I feel is, my purpose and my level of satisfaction that I aspired to, and all of the good, the bad, the ugly that came along the way, and what you can learn from it. And it's interesting because it's also a book that I worked on for a little while, but came quickly once it stuck. So like Dave, when you were like, yeah, I wrote this book in like 9 days, in a way, it took a little longer than that, but it's a compilation of things I had been writing and putting out for like 5 years. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, there's a whole bunch of themes there that mean something. And look how perfectly that weaves into this chronology. And now I can take this memoir about somebody no one knows about, me, and make it appealing to other people and applicable to other people. And so
what I enjoyed, Angie, in reading your book, and Amanda, I haven't read your book yet, but in reading your book, the Scary Sundays theme throughout, it just kind of dangled out there for the individual to start thinking about, how does Sunday feel to me? Do I really want to go back to work? How was that weekend? And how do I change that going forward? And yet you don't use that in every sentence or throughout every paragraph. It's just kind of woven in between, and it's really, really well done.
Yeah, and I would say that my goal for the book, and maybe this is something we can all share since there's such a theme here, but for me, the goal of my book, I think, was twofold. One, it was to inspire people to really think about if they're where they want to be. But even more importantly than that, it was second to, in a way, give them permission to explore where they're at if it isn't where they want to be. Because I feel that we have gotten really good at mediocrity in society today, and we just accept golden handcuffs. I have to live here. I have to do this. I have to, and don't necessarily ever go, I've chosen to. And I think it was a little bit of my mission through this book to say, hey, it didn't always go right, but it ended somewhere better, to be more intentional about the choices instead of just taking the status quo. So that was a little bit of kind of what I was hoping to do. Amanda, how about you?
I love that, because that's exactly what this book is about as well, because I grew up in the shoulds, right? In codependent behaviors of I should do this, I have to do this. I came from 20 years of corporate. I climbed that corporate ladder. At the end of my corporate career, I was a VP of sales and marketing for a New York publishing firm for pharmaceutical marketing. And what was interesting with even, I share this in the book, I share how my soul got me fired from my corporate job and literally took over and said, you're done with this. And then it was really an awakening journey I was going through. So the tagline for the book is Your Path of Awakening. And it's really about your path of awakening and becoming the next version of you, becoming who you truly are, becoming what you're here to do, and so on. And so, I ended up sharing a lot of my journey in the beginning of my own process of awakening and becoming, because when I got fired, I had no idea who I was. I only identified myself as that VP of sales and marketing. And I didn't know who I was and what I was here to do next, because I didn't have a plan B. And all my time and energy and efforts went into being successful at that corporate level. And then when that was gone, it was like, uh-oh, now what? And so going through, like what you were saying, Angie, is going through that discovery stage, right? The discovery of, this is what I'm here to do. This is who I am, is so important. So sharing that story and giving them people tools and techniques to go through the journey was the purpose of this book. And especially right now, we've got so many people that are very unclear as to what life is about anymore, because our old ways do not work anymore, right? What we grew up with does not work, and it won't work in the future. And so that can be very confusing. It can be very uncertain. It can be very chaotic. But part of what we're all going through as a society, as humanity, is we're awakening into a new dimension, into a new way of being. And it doesn't, that the old dimension, third dimension, is based on fear. And what we're moving into is a dimension based on love and co-creation. Like, this is perfect. Like what Robbie does and what we're doing, we're all collaborating and co-creating. This is a fifth dimensional way of operating, being, doing, and both in life, with relationships, and business. So,
yeah. You hit the nail on the head with just like what got us here isn't getting us there, and how much it's. I feel like there's this convergence of things that is causing change. And Dave, I think you hit the nail on the head with how you described your book at the beginning, with the fact that like there's more people that do this on a plane than interact on a plane, and that isn't necessarily personality traits. That's like the societal shift that we've gotten into. And I think there's so many reasons for it. Generationally, there's lower levels of communication skills with younger. There's just a million different reasons, and there's many like slippery slope / sound soapboxes we can get onto that I talk about as far as like why that's all happening. But I love that all three of us are trying to help people think differently and more and live more intentionally and fully, even if that is the ecosystem. And Dave, it sounds like your books fit squarely into this as well. So what was the inspiration for you?
Yeah, the word echoes. We often hear something the first time, and we don't, we don't do it. Our kids, we tell them to clean their room, and they don't clean their room. But if their grandma comes in and says, "Hey, your bedroom is messed up," they want to prove something to their grandma. If we hear something from a boss, a directive or whatever, oftentimes it's the echo. It's the second, the third, or fourth, or fifth time that we hear something. And so that's thematic throughout my book is we've heard something in the past. And one of the places I go to is Charlie time travels back to 1914. And believe it or not, mine's more story-like. Yours, Angie, and I'm sure, Amanda, yours is inspirational from a personal perspective. But mine's told in a fictionalized way with fictionalized characters. Yes, some of the things happened, but not all of them did. And the train is just the medium. It's just the setting for the book. But the other thing with regard to the 1914 connection is that, believe it or not, so many things that took place in 1914 from a business perspective still take place today. Yeah. Making an introduction, a warm introduction, or shaking people's hands, or the way you market your product. Maybe the technology is different, but you're still doing things the same as you did back then. And sometimes we just need to hear that a second or third or fourth time. And so again, the journey's portion of all three of our connections is right there.
I know. It's funny to me that where you just left us off, because I feel that no matter how much technology we bring in, how much loneliness we see, all of these ways we have to disconnect, at the heart, people still like need and want people and crave connection. And I'll take an observation / give all three of us a little credit for, I feel like we're doing our small part to help people come back to both themselves and each other at a time when it's really needed. And that gap is just becoming bigger as far as what I've seen.
Yeah. One of the things that I've said to people, it used to be, I'll have my people call your people and they can do lunch. Well, now we can have our AI twin call your AI twin and they can do lunch. We want to use the technology. We want to be able to embrace. I mean, back in the day, Amanda, you're old enough to remember. Angie, you probably aren't, but we didn't have computers. We didn't have the technology that we have today to be able to do math problems. I mean, we had calculators on our desk, but there were times where we couldn't use them. We were allowed only to use the manual method. And going back to, having a conversation like this is actually very rewarding because it spurs on the next conversation.
So I am young enough to remember analog days. And in fact, I grew up as an analog kid, which is why I think it's an interesting perspective is, I grew up as an analog kid playing in the dirt. My dad is my high school math teacher, which is why I actually originally went to engineering school, even though I don't have an engineering personality. And he used to make us answer math problems to get in the room. And we had to be able to like answer a trig function in order to get into the room. And we were not allowed to use calculators on tests and all those kinds of things. So I remember that, right? So analog kid. And then I entered the working world at the digital revolution when just the internet and technology in general were starting to change the workforce. And now I'm mid-career, like mid-business, midlife, whatever you want to call it, adapting to AI. And there's so many similarities I see to what it's a cycle. Right? These big societal changes create the same fears, create the similar challenges, similar psychologies as they did when the car came on the scenes back in the early 1900s, when we saw technology come in the early aughts. Kind of the same thing we're seeing now. The one thing I think that's a little different is the the scale at which, for instance, AI is going to change things, but the psychology is the same. And so we have so much to learn if we just like look back and remember kind of how that felt.
Yeah. And, I think, people talk about AI and being afraid of it and it's taking over and all of that. There is definitely a place for AI. And it is about personalizing it. Like if you're going to use it in business, make sure it's using your voice. So you're connecting with people through your voice, and use AI as a tool, not as your function or as your voice. And so I even call my AI, I call him Jack, and Jack and I sometimes we have fights,
yeah.
And I'm like, what the hell? Excuse my French. But what are you doing? Are you not listening? I said this. And it gets it, he gets it. So sometimes we have love fast and sometimes we don't. Yeah. But that's how, if you think about life and think about your relationships with people and the connections with people, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But the key is, if you know who you are, you can stand in your own sovereignty, in your own energetic integrity, your own emotional integrity, rather than put that out on other people. And then rather than have that wall up in front of our hearts, you can let the wall down because you stand in you. And when you stand in you, now it's really fun to connect with others, right? And you're not worried about what they think. Do they think you're weird? Let me tell you,
we're all weird.
Yeah, but I'm the woo girl, right? I'm the woo girl, bringing it into practical. And I was told, even in the beginning of this part of my career, because this has been 25 years, I was told, don't talk about your spirituality and your woo. I'm like, but that is what makes me unique, and it's what the part that I bring to people. So you don't want me to talk about it? No, because it's weird. I'm the weirdo. Thank you. But when you own who you are and you own what you're here to do, regardless of what other people's opinions are and their judgments and whatever they think about you, you stay true to you and stay true to your path, your purpose, then it doesn't matter what others think, because you'll connect to whoever you're to connect to, right? And you will be the inspiration, the difference to whoever you're to be that for.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's that authenticity word that we hear so many people talking about, and they're seeking, but I think seeking is not necessarily the way to find it.
No.
Hey, Angie, tell us about human, because you wrote in your book about the word human, and it caught my attention. You made shirts with human.
Yeah, I should be wearing one right now. I should have thought about that.
Tell the audience about human.
Yeah, so I'll give you there's a little bit of a backstory there that isn't even necessarily in the book, but over the last few years, I have started to notice, and there's various different reasons or observations I've had, that it feels like we're really starting to forget humanity, and that we are all sentient human beings sharing a life experience on this earth. And I could go into many reasons why that is the case. And so I started talking about, I started using a hashtag, humans still matter. And this was shortly before AI came out, when there were some other things happening at a macro level that really felt inhuman. And so I started using this hashtag, humans still matter. Fast forward, AI comes out and it's like, oh, wow, I guess humans really do need to still matter. And then I went to an AI conference last fall, and I was the one speaker of a 3-day conference there to talk about how to maintain your humanity in the AI age. And so I had human shirts made, and I wore them at the entire conference, and now they're a thing. Everybody loves the human shirt and asks about it. And at the end of the day, I am a former engineer, but I love people. And so I really enjoy thinking about the unique, unpredictable, fascinating system that is a human being, especially with the complexities of society today. And so, yeah, basically my brand has become Angie Wears a Human shirt, representative of engineering human potential and doing exactly what Amanda just said, which is knowing who you are as a human and being okay showing up in the world that way, no matter what is happening.
Yeah, that's so perfectly said. And you do a great job in the book of illustrating that in your stories. One of the things that I have as a takeaway from meeting so many authors over the last couple of years, because I never thought of myself as an author. I didn't write until published in April of 2024, is that we all have something to say. Mm-hmm. However, here's the thing. We also need people to read. We also need people to understand and to take that in. And when people put up a roadblock, they put up a stop sign and go, oh, no, I'm not going to do that AI thing. No, that Claude and ChatGPT thing. No, not for me. Those same things took place over history with regard to education. No, I don't need physics. When Sir Isaac Newton put out his stuff, Galileo or Einstein, there were people that said, no. 3 million books, I think, are published per year. And if we could just get people to read 10 pages a day, they would get into the book and they go, wow, scary good, really scary good. Or maybe I could take a journey for 30 days and take a look at my inner self and maybe find something different. Or maybe I could take a ride on the train with Charlie for a few pages. And so my encouragement to people is to pick up a book. Continue your online learning, listen to the podcast or read a blog and take in some knowledge. You'll be better for it, and interact with people like this. Angie, you and Amanda have been amazing to get to know here over even just a few minutes.
I know this has been fun. And who is it? Isn't there a famous quote that's like, everything I learned in a book? I can't remember who said it, but essentially there's the TLDR of what Dave just said. And Amanda, you and I were about to jump in at the same time. So go for it.
Oh, I was just going to say, by reading a book, whether, it's fiction or nonfiction, what it does is it actually activates the imagination. And it activates the imagination into something more, something that's possible, or even finding I call it solution to maybe what you're dealing with. And it's so important, especially now, to be connected at that level to yourself and to your imagination of what's possible. Because if you just go, with like scary good, if you just go to the mundane, everyday, autopilot way of living, you'll eventually burn out. You'll get frustrated. You'll get angry, upset that life is doing something to you instead of life is for you, and that you're the creator. So if you don't like what's going on in your life or your work, your job, or your business, your relationships, you are the creator. You have a choice. So it's about making a conscious choice, but you can't make that choice until you're aware. And so I love, Dave, that you brought it in about reading that book allows you to become aware. If you're bored with life, make sure you're doing like what Dave said. Read 10 pages of a book every single day. It will start getting the juices going. It will start having you think about something different.
And Amanda, I love the imagination thing because there's all kinds of reports out there about like how boredom is healthy because it activates imagination, and we're like never bored anymore. And this is the kind of stuff that can help that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What were you going to say, Dave?
Oh, I was going to say that the idea of reinventing yourself didn't exist back in the day. You were with the company for 40 years, you retired, you got a pension, and that's what you saw in your grandparents or your great-grandparents.
I saw it in my parents. My stepdad worked for Chrysler for, I think, 40 years.
Yeah.
My aunt worked for Mr. William Clay Ford at Detroit Lions and Ford Motor for 30 years. They retired in that, you know. So what I did, definitely, I was the black sheep of the family because I changed careers, right? And then I changed it into something really strange because when I did that, you know, back in 2000, there weren't coaches, there weren't energy healers. You know, that wasn't a norm. That wasn't something that was out there. So, and here or spiritual mentors back then. That wasn't back then. And I sat down with my stepdad at a Starbucks in Detroit and said, hey, mark my words, in 10 years, and this was back in 2002, life coaches, energetic healing, spirituality is going to be part of the norm. People are going to need it. And he's like, yeah, whatever.
And look where we are.
Right.
Absolutely. And we can reinvent ourselves through education. We can reinvent ourselves through other people who have the ability to open up the doors on our behalf. I encourage, because I'm a sales trainer, coach, to encourage people to change industries. Don't retread, if you've always been in auto sales, it doesn't mean you couldn't sell something else in a B2B environment.
Yeah.
You have to embrace it, and you have to try and to learn along the way. And Angie, you went through your share of challenges. I loved your stories of challenges. Maybe we could end on, because I don't know what your time frame was, but one quick life lesson from each of the three of us on perseverance. Perseverance is something that each of us have the opportunity to embrace or to reject. Angie,
I love that as a final call.
Angie, you go first, and Amanda, and I'll close it out.
Okay, perfect. Mine is that you have more control than you think, and taking that ownership will actually change everything. You don't have to accept the status quo, the norm, even if you are 15 years ahead of the game like Amanda was, right? You have more say and more agency in both your life and career than it seems like you do, and certainly than most people exercise. And when you flip that script, amazing things can happen.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, I agree. And I agree with you on that, because that perseverance piece really connects to who you are and connects to what you're dedicated to and committed to. So the more I got pushed back around who I was and what I was doing, you challenge me that way, I'm going to fight for it. And so if anyone came after me or my business, that, what are you doing? It had me dig my heels in. But I remember when I first was, looking at what I was to do next, I had a teacher and a mentor that said, you're going to be out there on stages teaching about energetic healing, talking about transformation, blah, blah, spirituality. I'm like, no, that's all great for everybody else, but I'm not going to be the weird one on stage. And okay, so fast forward, that was 25. Actually, he was telling me that like 28, 30 years ago. And fast forward, so what am I? I have 2 international bestseller books. I'm in a movie, Pillars of Power, that has just launched, premiered. And guess what? I'm talking about woo stuff. I'm talking about energetic alignment and talking about vibrations and spirituality and science and all of that. But the key on that is those were rough times. But if you just really connect to who you are, what you're here to do, and be committed no matter what anyone says or does, then that perseverance will get you to the other side. I just turned 70 years old, and I'm in the height of my career at this point. And probably even more. I don't even know, but I'm committed to keep on doing it because this is what I'm here to do. And I don't feel my age at all. And I'm flourishing because of that perseverance. And I would just, if you believe in it, believe in yourself, believe in what you're doing, just keep going. Just do it. And the reward.
And it's never too late.
It's
never too late. I mean, I'm 63, going to be 64, and I'm a first-time author. I tell people that all the time.
Yeah.
Take a risk. Take a step forward, and if you do make a mistake along the way, because we're all going to make them, you'll learn from it. If you fall down, you'll always get up a little bit ahead of where you were. And I think that's the thing that young people today, they're sometimes risk averse. They want to take all the steps necessary before you got to act. And the fact that if you have a book, I talk to, and you guys probably have seen this too, when you talk to people about being an author, I'd really like to write a book, or I have this book idea. Well, get out and do it. Write that book, set the time, make your priorities, get off the doom scrolling, and go do it. Make a mistake along the way, and that adversity, you're going to have people around you and things around you to help you get through those challenging times, and they're not going to be forever. So this has been great.
This is awesome.
Yeah, and challenges are always about learning, making a mistake, failing. It's always about learning and picking yourself back up and growing through that and taking that knowledge, creating the wisdom through it, right? And then you have that discernment of what to do next or what not to do. So be good with making a mistake or failing. I mean, we have millionaires, billionaires that have failed over and over again, and they pick themselves up. Yeah. The biggest muscle that we can have is picking yourself back up and going, okay, thank you, dusting yourself off and moving forward. And like you said, Dave, just do it. Just take that step forward.
Fail is a 4-letter word. That's what I like to say. And ultimately, at the end of the day, you aren't going to fail. You learn and you take that forward, and you're more informed next time. And if all of you need a little courage to do that, we have 3 books that can help you out. So we all have links. Find us on LinkedIn or wherever you're watching. We all have links to a Kindle flash sale where all of the books are either 99 cents or $1.99. So you can literally learn everything you need to learn this month for less than your Starbucks cup of coffee.
Yes.
There you go.
And support awesome people like Amanda David. There's also that. So thank you. Thanks for spending some time with me this morning. This was fun.
Great to spend time with both of you.
I know. I'm going to sign us off. All of you out there, reach out if any of us can help you. And don't forget, there is a pretty exciting life ahead of it. If you take control, persevere, and don't fear the failure.
Yep.
Bye, everybody.
Good job.